Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's write some more Leetcode today. Today we are solving minimum operations to make array values equal to k. So the problem states that we are given an integer array nums and an integer k. And integer h is called valid if all the values in the array that are strictly greater than h are identical. So meaning that there is only one unique value that is greater than h. So for example, in this array, 9 is valid because only 10 is greater than 9. But 5 will not be valid because 8 and 10 are both greater than 5. And we are allowed to perform the following operation on nums. So we will choose an integer h that is valid in nums, and then for every value that is greater than h, we will change that value to h. And we want to return the minimum number of operations required to make every element in nums equal to k. If we are not able to do that, then we return -1. So if we look at this example, we can change all the 5s to 4 first, and now all these numbers will become 4 with the exception of 2, and then we can change all the 4s to 2. And now all the numbers will be 2 and they'll be equal to k, and that will take 2 operations. So we return 2. And in this example, we can never make a smaller element larger. We can only make a larger element smaller because of this condition right here. So we can never change 1 to 2. So therefore, we can never make all elements equal to k. So we return -1. So now that we have seen some examples, let's get to how we can solve this problem. So before we get to how we can solve this problem, we should acknowledge that if any of the values are less than k, then it would be impossible to make all the elements equal to k. So for example, in this example, if there's an element like 1 that's less than k, then it would be impossible. So that's why we just return -1. Now, if all the elements are greater than or equal to k, then we can perform from the highest to smallest integer. So for example, we convert 5 to 4, and then they can all become 4, and then we can convert 4 to 2. So we can select 4 at first and then convert all numbers to 4. Then we can choose 2 and convert all these numbers to 2. We cannot convert all the numbers to 2 at once because of this statement. We have to select an integer h that is valid, and valid means all the values that are greater than h are identical. So we have to pick one number at a time. So I hope we notice a pattern that actually the number of operations it takes is just the number of distinct numbers that are greater than k. So this takes 2 operations because we need to convert 5 to 4 and 4 to 2, and there's 2 distinct numbers greater than k, which is 5 and 4. So one way that we can solve this problem is we can create a set and call of values which will contain all the distinct values that are greater than k, and we will just iterate through, and if we see a value that's greater than k, we add it to values. If we see a number that's less than k, then we return -1 right away. And in the end, we will return the length of values as the result. So let's go through this example real quick. So first we count to 5. We see that 5 is greater than k, so we add it to values. Count to 2. 2 is equal to k, so we don't do anything. Now we count to 5. We see that 5 is greater than k, but it's already in the set, so we continue. And now we count to 4. 4 is greater than k, so we add it to the set. And now we come to the last element. The last element 5 is greater than k, but it's already in value, so we just continue. And now we have come to the end of the array, so we can return the result, which is the length of values, which is 2. So we return 2 as our result. And the time complexity will be O of n, where n is the number of values in the array, because we need to iterate through the input array. And the space complexity will also be O of n, because the value set can take up to n space. So now let's get to the coding part. So first we'll initialize values to an empty set, and then we will look for n in nums. If the number is less than k, then we'll return -1 right away. And if it is greater than k, then we will add the number to values. And then in the end, we'll return the length of values. See if it works. Okay, perfect. Hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave down in the comment section. And I hope to see you all again soon.